What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Misadventureland game show. I'm Bobby, and I'm here with Justin.
Hello, my friends.
Hello, buddy. How's it going?
Doing all right.
Doing all right?
Extremely tired.
Really?
Really.
Really?
You know, I've reached a point in my life where sitting down at 8 o'clock, it's a mistake. You shouldn't do it. You literally should not do it at all.
I'm sorry to hear that, Justin.
So, yeah, I'm a little spent right now. So 30 seconds before we started recording, I went and made myself a cup of coffee at
You did.
8 o'clock at night. We'll see how this goes.
Green's asking why you're tired.
Because I'm old and I have kids.
It's probably more the second thing than the first thing, to be honest. Andy's here. Welcome, Andy. Welcome, everybody who's watching live over at Misadventure.land. We're doing this live on YouTube every week around Thursday around 8 p.m. Eastern, and also, of course, on your podcasting app of choice. We got some games to talk about this week. Got a little bit of news as well. I finished another game, Justin.
Listen.
Every week we come in here, I got a new game that I put on the back burner. That I put on the done pile. Sorry, as I meant.
I don't know what you did with my friend of 8 years. I would like that person back because I felt superior to them at all times. And now it's just like, shit. I really got to plow through these video games.
Every couple days I go, Justin, I finished this video game.
And I'm like, that's great. I read a new book.
Well, that's important and good. So I wouldn't scoff at that. But yeah, we've got so yeah, I speaking of games I finished, I'll just kick right into it. I finished Life is Strange: True Colors this week. I think I started it like last Friday or something like that, I think, and I finished it yesterday. I finished it last night.
Did you like it?
I did. I liked it quite a bit, actually. I think it might be the best Life is Strange game, I think. It doesn't have... So there's two studios handling Life is Strange. There is Don't Nod, the French studio who created Life is Strange. They also did one of Justin's underloved faves, Remember Me.
Fantastic game.
And they also did that game Vampire that came out a couple years ago.
Also a pretty good game
as well. So they did both those things. They did Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2, and they basically were like, to Square, they're like, okay, we're done. We're done with Life is Strange. Like, we don't want to do Life is Strange. We kind of want to move on. Square owns Life is Strange IP. And they've kind of listed this, the studio Deck 9. Deck 9 is now kind of like the 343 of Life is Strange. Like, that's going to be like it's their property now. They're going to do what they're going to do with it. They had previously done Before the Storm, which was that prequel to the first game, which is also very good. I think you can definitely see, having played the games, you can see the difference in styles between the two studios a lot. Deck 9 much more favors like the more they're much more focused on the little moments and the stories that are kind of not the big supernatural elements of the story. They sort of tend to focus on that, like, where it feels kind of like this could be like, a series that was on Netflix, like that kind of thing. Whereas Don't Nod seems very more invested in like intertwining like the supernatural abilities with kind of the story in a more direct way. And I think, which it leads to Don't Nod's games, I think having more holy shit like type moments, because that first game, that's full of those moments. It's full of like, oh, what the hell? This game has less of those. There's a few of them, don't get me wrong, but it's much more about the moment to moment interpersonal stuff and the characters. And I think it's better for that. I think, in fact, when it's at its weakest is when it's kind of focusing on the supernatural elements of the story. But this one, it follows a character named Alex Chen. She's had a very troubled childhood. You don't know what happened to her parents, but her and her brother got kind of separated into like the system, so into different foster families and like orphanages, and he went to juvie. And she just kind of kept stuck in the system for all these years. And the game starts out with Gabe, her brother, has finally tracked her down and asks her to move to this town in Colorado where he lives.
Okay.
And it's their like reuniting basically. That's how it begins, and it's about her trying to kind of navigate her life in this new town, and how does she feel about her reuniting with her family, and sort of like facing down the things that happened in her past and trying to move past those things. It's really good at that part of it, you know, and it tries to give the supernatural element in this game is Alex has what they're called. It's a really dumb name. The psychic power of empathy is what they're calling it.
That's what they call it. They just don't call her an empath.
The marketing calls her in the game. Whenever they say it, a character, when she reveals her powers, like the character says, "Oh, yeah, I can't believe I have an empath for a best friend or whatever," you know. So like they call it empath in the game, but the marketing for the game called it her psychic power of empathy. But yeah, she's empathic. She can basically see when people get extreme emotions. She can kind of see like an aura around them, a different colored aura, and she can sort of focus down and almost like hear their thoughts, and see kind of the world through their eyes when they're feeling extreme emotions. So like in the game, it's like, oh, this person's like super scared. Why are you tapping your mic?
I just checking my levels.
Okay.
They're extremely low on my end all of a sudden. I'm thinking that Jorah accidentally lowered this when he grabbed the microphone.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
mess around with this while you
Okay.
you keep on talking.
So I got nervous. I was like, Justin, I can hear you. So like, you know, you see her, you can see people's like thoughts basically almost when they're having extreme emotions. Like somebody's really angry, like you kind of hear them thinking like, I can't believe this happened. And then you can like pick out things in the environment that they're kind of focused on that are setting off these feelings in them. And you sort of are like learning things about them and either helping to solve their problems or sort of using that to sort of help solve this overall mystery that's happening in the game.
Is it a good story?
It's a really good story. Yeah. I will say this. There is a bunch of stories, right, in the game. There's a lot of like, there's Alex's story with this character, and then Alex's story with this character, and sort of like this little mini story that's happening, like her relationship with these people. And all those little stories are great. I think that I'm going to wait till you finish adjusting because I can hear it turning up and down.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
There we go. That's looking more normal.
Okay. I'm going to turn you down a little bit then because you were,
okay.
I turned you up pretty loud. So yeah, so I would say like the overall like mystery narrative that's happening, it's good. It's totally fine, but it's definitely not the best part of the game. Like it's functional and it serves to kind of like push you through the little moments and the little side stories and the little like character emotional stories that they're doing. It's good. It's good for a shell of that, but it's not as satisfying, I think, as like the first game's like huge kind of like mystery and story ended up being and stuff like that. So sorry, go ahead.
You know, it's funny because a long running shtick on this thing that we're doing together is that I dislike the first Life is Strange.
Yes.
And for the life of me, I can't actually remember why. I just keep the thought going because I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, you know, actually that story wasn't that bad. Like the end parts of it. And I was like, but I really disliked this. It's not like I disliked it. I thought it was just okay, but like something about it like didn't jive well with me. And I think it was the gameplay. And you were talking about these puzzle aspects in that first game that were tedious. And I was thinking maybe that was it because the story in the first Life is Strange, the things that are happening is at least interesting.
Yeah. The first game definitely. You remember the first Walking Dead game where the game is fantastic, but where they were like, we got to have like shooter parts in this when you actually have to like aim a gun and shoot, and then after that they were like, okay, like we probably don't need this, you know, and that I think is what the first game suffered from. Like they've got to like be doing stuff, so like we'll have Chloe ask Max to find 7 bottles around the junkyard or whatever, and like that stuff is just. But the good thing about that game was that by the time they got to the last episode, like they had realized like what were the things that people liked about the game, and they were developing the game in that way, you know. So by the time that season was over, they kind of forgone a lot of that stuff. But I think that what this game does is the game looks so much better. I always like the art style of Life is Strange games, but you know, it was purposely simple, right? The faces were not they weren't very realistic. They were more cartoony. They were more cell shaded, more comic booky. This you can tell there's much more like motion capture going on in the face because it's able to communicate a lot smaller emotions and little moments. And the lead performance is fantastic. She's great. Like you're like 15 minutes into the game and you're like, I love this person, you know, like, so that they do a very good job of that. And you know, it's very good at not overstaying its welcome at any point. The episodes are, I think, like 90 minutes to 2 hours long, you know, like at the most, never going like really above that. There were times like in Life is Strange 1, and I think even Life is Strange 2, when the Don't Nod ones, where episodes would be like 3.5 hours, and sometimes they were great, but sometimes when you're just like wanting to get through an episode of something, you don't want it to be that long. And this is more in like that 2 hour and a half range. I think it took me like 8 to 10 hours to finish the game in total. There were definitely things I missed because at the end of each episode, even though they're all there, they're still divided into episodes. It tells you like, oh, you made this choice. You know, 50% of people made this choice. 50% of people made this choice. And there were ones that were just like, you know, 20% of people didn't even realize that Ben was sitting on this bench, or, you know, whatever, you know, because there are just times you can walk around like the environment. It's not very big, and like, oh, not go right to the person that's the story person you're supposed to talk to, and go look around and find this person who's hanging out here. And there's a lot of little times where you can like help random people in the town out with their like emotional problems and stuff like that, which you can do. So it probably can take you, I imagine at the most, if you did every little tiny thing, it would probably take you like, you know, 12, 13 hours. I'm guessing probably 14 hours, maybe, if you just like were looking at every single nook and cranny and trying to find every little thing. But I was saying to you during the week, like, it's just really nice to like go, like, I'm going to play this thing. I played it for an hour and a half, and but I also get to feel like I finished something because the episode ends, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm done.
You feel like definite progress.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, I've accomplished something in this video game today. I beat this, I finished this chapter, and now good. And that was really nice. And then, you know, I definitely, last night I ended up playing, I think I played chapters 1, 2, and 3, like one a night. And then last night I think I played 3, 4, and 5, like just straight through. I was going to stop.
Generally how I would handle like the Telltale games, right? Because like your first 2 episodes, you're getting used to the controls, the story, or whatever, and then I would always bang out like the last 3 episodes in one sitting because you're like fully invested at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great. You know, I think it's well worth playing. I think it's going to be interesting going forward what Deck 9 does with the series, because obviously they're going to keep going. I think this game is selling, you know, pretty well. People seem to like it. And Square doesn't usually give up on franchises that sell well, so I'm sure it'll keep going, and I don't think it probably costs very much to make them. And I think their decision this time to do like the $60 all at one time thing was a good decision, because they just haven't been very good at getting them out in a timely manner. It took, I think, almost like, it took like 18 months or something to get Life is Strange 2 totally out the door.
And that's probably why I never played it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played through Life is Strange 2 because of that exact reason. It was like, oh, we're gonna go wait, and then by the time it was done, it was like, I've got 700 other things to play at this point. But I played this and I was like, oh man, I should go back and play it finally, because I'm like in that mode, you know. But yeah, I thought it was really cool, and like, I'm not intentionally not saying anything about the story, because like literally there are like giant story spoiler stuff that happens like in the first episode. So I can't even talk about like a lot of the main thrust of what's going on, because it all stems from this like giant thing that happens early on. But I think they do a nice job of filling out the world with a lot more interesting characters than just sort of like the core 2 characters or 3 characters or whatever, which are usually what they're very good at, and then the rest kind of feel like paper thin, and this doesn't, you know, feel that way. There is some like tough stuff in it, like, you know, some real life, like, you know, scary, you know, mental heavy stuff. Yes, I mean, that's what these games do. Like, that's what they've always done. And so There will be stuff that some people will probably bounce off of because it's going to be a little too much, for them at some points. But I think really, really, really good. If you like Life is Strange games or like adventure games like that in that style at all, I think it's definitely a game that people should play. Probably sneaks into my top 10 right now somewhere. I don't know where yet, but it feels like it'll definitely be in that conversation for me, like in my personal top 10. I want to go back. Alejandro says, okay, let's see if double IPA is a good idea for a Thursday night. It's a great idea for a Thursday night, Alejandro. It's always a good night. Gurren says unless it's Tomb Raider for Square Enix, but Square Enix doesn't think Tomb Raider sells well. In their like warped mind, like budget compared to sales number is like just doesn't line up. Like it sells 5 million, 6 million units, and that's not enough for them. So they think it's not a good selling game.
Speaking of Tomb Raider,
yes.
What did you think of the trailer today for Uncharted?
Oh yes, Uncharted. So this movie has been trying to be made for a very long time. I think at least 10 years. Movies have been in development. It's been in development so long that Mark Wahlberg started out the development playing Nathan Drake and is now playing Sully. So
that's not a joke. That's an actual real thing.
It's an actual real thing. It felt like for a long time, like this movie always kept being like, okay, here's a cast, here's a new director. And then it would just be like a month later, it'd be like, director's left over creative differences. We're going the other way. Tom Holland is now playing Nathan Drake.
Let's talk about that. I think it's bad.
I can't speak to like how good Holland is going to be in the movie, how charming he's going to be, whatever. But for Nathan Drake, it seems like the wrong choice. That's my sort of.
You need a. Like I look at Tom Holland and he's fine actor, good Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean this to be an insult, but he's just not man enough. Like I look at Tom Holland and I'm like, that is a high schooler.
Yes, he doesn't look old enough at all.
He doesn't look old enough for the part. Like
no.
If you were to ask me what would be what's a good Nathan Drake casting, like you would figure you got to be late 20s.
No, you should be. If they're gonna do Nathan Drake, then he should be 35 to 40 years old. Like that's how old he should be to me.
I would say, yeah, but if you were doing it like the first of what you would hope to be many movies, you would want somebody who, let's say, like is 30, right? Like
okay.
just fits into those shoes a little bit better. You sent me a text today or a tweet, and I can't remember what the tweet said.
Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, please do.
So there's this site called a Hard Drive, which is like The Onion, like a not as good The Onion, but they do like fake stories or whatever. It says little baby boy Tom Holland stars in big grown-up movie with adults is what it says.
It's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
And now supposedly this movie is we're going to just around quotation marks, we're going to say it's a prequel, because if we're taking the games for as an example or as a storyline, which obviously the movie is not going to do that, but this is supposed to be young Nathan Drake, right?
Yeah.
They got the young part right, maybe just a little bit too much.
My thing is not even that. Andy mentioned something in the chat. I think it was Andy. He said, I think he looks old enough for the flashback part in Uncharted 4 or whatever. And if they were sort of coding or presenting the character in that way, as if he's like, I'm like running away from the orphanage to go do whatever, then I think like it would be totally fine for Tom Holland to play that version of the character, right? I mentioned we were talking to text message. I was like, Justin, have you seen the Indiana Jones movies? Because I never know with you what movies you've seen and not. And you said, yes, you have seen them. But there's that whole thing at the beginning of Holy Grail, right? Where you see River Phoenix as young Indiana Jones, right? Where he's like jumping on the thing, whatever. That is like the age I expected them to like be showing Tom Holland as in this movie, right? That's what I expected of them. And it seems like they're playing it like, no, he's like probably Tom Holland's actual age. I think Tom Holland is like 25 or 26 years old, but Tom Holland looks like he's 17, so, and also his like demeanor in the trailer. And again, it's a trailer. It's a very badly edited, cut together trailer. I've seen plenty of wonderful trailers for terrible movies. So like, so like they could have cut together a trailer with a better, probably a better team behind it that would have made us go like, oh, that looks cool. He looks too young, but I mean, some of the action looks neat. But this trailer is like badly edited, as well.
Also,
sorry, go ahead.
It's pulling from. It looks like Uncharted 3 and 4 a bunch.
It does. Which, I mean, scene wise, whatever. He can be any age man can be climbing up a set of cargo containers that are flying off the back of a.
Of course. Alejandro in chat says, I can't think of an actor who's 30 something who feels like the right fit. Unfortunately, I can think of the actor who probably would slide into the shoe very, very nicely.
Save it for the end. Save it for after this part of the conversation that we're having.
Okay, go ahead.
So it feels like they're playing him as someone who is older, is like mid-20s, and Tom Holland just doesn't look like he's that old. But also his demeanor, like in those scenes, I feel like it's Peter Parker talking to people. That's the other part of it is I think Tom Holland is kind of doing his like, okay, I'm going to do like the movie star thing. And I'm just going to be like the personality that, because movie stars, when they do a lot of franchise movies, sometimes will just be like, I'm going to be the personality that people know of me because that's what people are going to want to see. And he's kind of doing that Peter thing to the point where like, I had this moment and I shit you not, I'm watching the trailer and when he's falling out of the back of the plane, I was like, why isn't he just like shooting his webs, to get himself back up or whatever. Like, I'm not saying it's not going to be it could end up very well being a totally fun adventure movie. They don't make a lot of those type of movies anymore. So maybe it ends up being totally fun, but I think the casting is wrong-headed. And I think he's cast because they want to have the opportunity to make, 10 of these movies if they're successful. Like, that's what they're trying to do. So tell me, Justin, who is your perfect 30-something actor?
It's not perfect because I'm tired of seeing him in these roles. But if you were looking for an actor to come in and match the charisma and age of Nathan Drake in the video games, it is 100% Chris Pratt.
Get out of here.
It is.
No.
You think about the way he is in, like, look, I'm not saying I want them to
I'll take miscast Tom Holland over Chris Pratt any day of the week. I am
not saying that. I think my feelings on Chris Pratt has been played out in these last couple of podcasts, but judging just from his whole demeanor in the Jurassic World movies, right? Like, gets down, rough, tumble, boyish charm, like dumb as a set of bricks. Like, yeah, that's Nathan Drake. Like,
but Nate's not dumb. That's the thing about Nate. He's not dumb.
Like, he's also like, I mean, not dumb.
He's
in the
reckless,
sense, like,
but he's not dumb.
Reckless, and also just doesn't pay attention to like the emotional things that are happening around him, like Sully's well-being and like what's right for Sully, putting the adventure first. Like, I'm talking about like that type of dumb.
Yeah.
Like, and first of all, there was a lack of Elena in this trailer. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, there was no Elena. There was Chloe. For sure.
There was Chloe, yeah.
And Naomi, I think, from the fourth game and Lost Legacy, it looked like. Yeah, and they're already talking about the brother in it.
Which we didn't even know existed until the fourth game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to me, that's the type of actor. It might not be Chris Pratt, but it sounds weird. That's the body type and like age that I think should be playing Nathan Drake and not Peter Parker.
I think, for me, when I think of like what are the things that make Nathan Drake, right? Nathan Drake, as far as just personality wise goes, the reason why he's a likable hero or whatever, quote unquote, is because he has that whole, I don't know how I got here, but I'm gonna do whatever I can, to get out of it. Like, holy shit, I can't believe this is, like, he has that vibe to him. He's not like
holy shit. I can't believe I just killed 600 people.
He's not like the walk away from an explosion without looking back, like cool guy action hero, right? He's much more of like, Indiana Jones or John McClane. Like, he's that kind of like, whoa, like, that type of action hero, and there are plenty of people who can do that, obviously. And like, all the time you're talking about this kind of like, well, who would you have cast? It's not my job to cast the right person in a movie. There are people paid handsomely to do that, but I just think like it's not even about his bite. Tom Holland is in great shape. You know, he looks very athletic. It's not his body type that is the problem for me. Like, I don't think he doesn't have to be like a big burly dude to be Nathan Drake. That does not read as Nathan Drake to me.
It's not like I'm saying he had to be The Rock or something like that.
You
It's
know.
just
Like, the thing is, the way I do imagine Nathan Drake kind of like looking or carrying himself, whatever, is more like John Hamm like type of person. You know, like John Hamm is actually hilarious. Like if you're just thinking of John Hamm in Mad Men,
I know he's
but
funny.
I'm talking about the way that his body is like you know, like in shape, but not like I'm a body, not like Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my shirt off in shape. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
The movie will probably do extremely well. Like Venom,
maybe
well, here's the thing. I saw this tweet as well. The Venom movies made over $1 billion.
Yes, but people love Venom. That's the thing. That doesn't matter. It's like people love Venom, and people like Uncharted. Don't get me wrong, but it does not have the reach that Venom has.
That Venom does. You're probably right, but
you know,
I think, you know, if this comes out at the right time, people are back in theaters and stuff like that, it'll probably do okay.
Andy, Nathan Fillion would have been good, you know, 12 years ago when they optioned it the first time. Honestly, Nolan North would have been fine 12 years ago. Like Nolan North is like a good-looking guy, like he's a good actor, like he looks like Nathan Drake, you know. So like I don't think like that he would have been fine. Now he's too old now. Now he's in his 50s or whatever. But like, you know, that would have been fine. I also think we're talking about miscasting. Mark Wahlberg should not be playing Sully. Like that's also another thing. You know, that like he's not good casting for Sully either.
He's also he's too young for Sully, way too young for Sully.
But if they're doing like Nate's 20, then yeah, he's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess.
Again, this is the other thing about actors though. Mark Wahlberg is probably almost 50, right? But he looks like he's 37 because he's an actor and he works out every day and all that kind of shit. So, I remember back when they were first doing it, I thought Nathan Fillion as Drake and like Bruce Campbell as Sully would have been like the perfect combination at that point. We are way too past for either of those people to do either of those things, but that's what I had thought. But I'm sure there is some 28-year-old TV star, that we probably don't know the name of, that probably is on like every short list in Hollywood for casting that would have done fine. Somebody from Bridgerton would have been fine or whatever, like that kind of like that kind of level of actor. I mean, that's where you pick people from, like, and nothing against Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland, but just doesn't seem like the right person. Like that scene where he's like in the tux in like the fancy ball or whatever, I'm like this, which is like straight out of 4, but it just doesn't like play to me. Like,
you're totally right.
And again, the movie, there might be every 2 seconds, there might be like, hey kid, what do you think you're doing here? You're just a kid. And whatever, but in the way this trailer sells it, it's just not great for me. Also, I understand why they did it because it's the logo for the games, but at the end of a movie trailer, that like type treatment logo looks just cheap to me. It looks like something that was designed in like 2006 and we've never gotten rid of it, the big blocky letters with like the huge like outline, the gold outline, like like it's just like it just looked like that needed a little bit of a redesign to me.
Did you want them to use the Dune font?
No, like the Knicks did for their thing. The Clinic sort of.
It's not a good font.
No, it's not. I mean, it's fine for Dune, but other than that, it doesn't even.
Other than that, don't try.
You don't even try that. And it only works for Dune because it's Dune. Because if you didn't know, it would look like it was a backwards C. You wouldn't even know it was a D. All right, Justin. I talked about Life is Strange. Talked about Uncharted. What have you been playing?
So I finished Deathloop. Last week when I was talking about it, I had figured out pretty much 7 or 6 of the 7 targets, and getting the 7th one was pretty straightforward. And then I set about to trying to get all the targets in one run. I think it took me 2 tries. One of them there's a set of targets where you could take out 2 at one time. and I was able to do it with one bullet when I put that clip up on Twitter, and that was really awesome. But the first time I went in there, I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. And there's like a level design thing where like the room that you're in starts to flood, and that killed me. So I was at least they were the second set of targets, so it's not like I was deep into the run. But then I was able to go ahead, get to the very end of the game, which is pretty it's pretty straightforward. If you play the game, they kind of let you know where you're going to end the game, and you get there, and so then there's a lot of story exposition that has to wrap up very quickly. And so like I understand exactly what people were talking about now. Yeah, that the ending kind of just like leaps up and it bites you in the ass, and there are choices. Now it's not like the game presents you choices, it's just whatever you do is going to lead to a different ending. And so I didn't realize that at first. So I actually just happened to get, I guess, the canonical ending. Like that's the one that they want you to see. And it kind of just ends. And there's like, I have a bunch of feelings about it. I'm obviously not going to spoil what it is right now, but I still enjoyed it like I thought I was going to. I still really enjoyed it, and I'm going to go back, probably around the holidays or whatever, and maybe bang out a couple more of the endings, because I think once you know how to get all the targets, it's maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of actual work. If you're like being methodical, like you can probably go through much faster. But like you can get in and out, like if you know where to go, you could take out those 2 targets and get out of that level in about, I don't know, 4 minutes. So it's not like there's a lot of setting up. And then when you get to the final level, there's like 4 targets for you to take out. But again, if you know what you're doing, you know where they are, you could do it kind of quickly. So I would like to go back and at least, I know what they are because I looked them up, because I was like, is there multiple endings to this, or does this just feel not right? And I was like, oh no, there are. Like there's a choice that you can make, and if you don't make that choice, or you like partially make that choice, you get different endings. So I want to actually see those. But
do you think it's worth like the gameplay aspect, or is it more just like you could watch a YouTube video and probably get the same thing out of them?
You could probably watch a YouTube video and do it. But the thing is, like, I actually like playing the game.
No, you love the game. I'm just wondering. Yeah.
There are other things I want to see in there. Like, for instance, there was a target that it's just an Eternalist. You have to save this Eternalist from death. And it was kind of hard to save him. But like I saved them on the first run where I was actually trying it. And I was like, all right, well, you got to come back here in the afternoon. And I'm like, but I can't come back here in the afternoon. I need to be somewhere else. So like I never got to see where that one actually went. And I think that person actually helps you maybe develop a mask. I'm not 100% positive, because usually, at the end of the game, there's like a party with everyone wearing masks, and I think you could infiltrate the party wearing a mask. I never did that. I just went in guns blazing and literally killed anything that moved. Because at that point, I was like pulling together 6 or 7 people at a time with like the linking ability and shooting one of them in the head, and they would all just fall. So that's how I was just taking out multiple people at a time. But like I want to go back and I want to see those endings, and I just want to like live and play in that world a little bit more. Maybe try and clean up some of those trophies that I haven't gotten, because I really, really, really enjoyed the hell out of Deathloop.
All right, nice.
Other than that, more reading, but we won't talk about that. But I did start Metroid Dread. I started it.
Not the first Metroid, not NES Metroid.
No, Super Metroid. I'm starting back at the beginning. I need to see what this series is all about. So I have made it to the second world, and I like it. It's good. I don't have the fondness for the series that other people do.
Of course, Grun's gonna like murder you from chat if you say anything bad. So just be.
So I don't think it's like breaking new ground in any specific way. I think that it's, like if we're not talking about Metroidvanias, we're like, in some ways, I'm not gonna say it feels like a roguelike. It's hard, and I applaud it for being as difficult as it is. I think that's the thing that stands out to me is like, okay, like this feels like a bunch of other games that I've played before, but there is this mechanic here where this stupid piece of shit is chasing me around and I can't kill it. So like that, it's at least doing that, right? It's doing something different. And so like I could get behind that. And I like, look, these games generally speak to me. Like I like these type of games. So I'm enjoying that aspect of it. I think that there are things that could be better about it. I don't think the map system is very good. Like,
what is it about the map that you don't like?
I just don't think it's very easy to read. Like that could just literally be the fact that this game is blown up on my 4K TV and everything is kind of smudgy. So like I have to zoom in hard and be like, is that a door? Okay, no, that is a door. So you told me like, hey, when you get a new ability, highlight, like look for a certain thing and just show all of these doors. And I have no idea how to do that yet.
Literally, it says on the screenshot you sent me, when you're hovering over an icon, right below it says, hit Y to highlight all icons.
Okay, so I just haven't seen that.
It was like huge on the screenshot that you sent me, just ask me where you should go in that one moment. And the funny thing is you were highlighted on the door that you needed to find too.
Yeah.
All you have to do is hit Y.
Before you even answered me, I was like, because I was looking at it and I'm like, am I missing something? Because I had heard after the first boss, people get lost a lot.
Yeah, it's the number one place people get lost.
I was like, okay, like maybe this is more complicated than I thought. And of course, like I just was not looking at this one door that I could clearly walk through. Before you answered, I walked through the door.
Yeah.
I just happened to be right there. But yeah, so I've gotten to the second area, and I will say I also think that the shoot blocks when you're like you think that you're stuck is not good at all. In that second area, I'm going to like if you're planning on playing this game, I'm going to save you a bunch of time.
I tried to save you this time, by the way. I tried, and you were like, I don't want to hear it.
No. So this didn't act. I just got lucky and found this. So you get to the second area and I'm like, okay, this is where the game is funneling me to. Okay, I got it. And then I noticed like, okay, there are two doors here and I can't go through either of them. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here yet. And I misunderstood what Bobby was saying. So I'm like, let me go run back and take the elevator back down to the previous area. And as I'm running, I just happened to accidentally hit the fire button on my controller, and a rocket came out and blew up a wall that led to a new passageway. That did not look like a breakable wall.
I mean, none of them look like breakable walls. That's the thing.
I don't think. Look, I have no problem with the game being difficult. I struggle with a game being misleading and being like, hey, if you think you're stuck, just fire at things and I don't know, see what happens. Like that doesn't feel like earns difficulty. That just feels like, okay, you're being obtuse for no reason.
Well, that's not meant to be difficult. I think that's meant to promote early on you kind of prodding and poking in corners, because that is like actually there. It's rare, not rare, but it doesn't happen a lot that any story or any main progress is gated in that way. But like, but there are plenty of secrets that if you want to find them, like extra missile upgrades or energy tanks or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's the game very early on trying to teach you have to do this in order to find things. And here, the truth is, and this is, I'm going to tell you about that what you mentioned about go back to the map for a second. If you're in an area that has blocks that you can shoot that you haven't shot, that's why I was asking you when I was texting you today, the area will like flash. It'll be flashing. So it'll be telling you there's something here you haven't discovered yet. So the game does tell you like that there's something. It's not just a pure like anywhere you're stuck. I just tell you that because like the one exact area you are is the one area that everybody, including myself, got confused about, which is like, okay, I got to that one like L-shaped wall and was like, I can't go any farther because that room's hot, that room's cold. Like I guess I got to go back. And I did something. I went back and I went back to the whole other first area, and then I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go back and see. And then I realized the thing was blinking and I shot. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I fell down and whatever.
I don't think we're talking about the same area, because I don't remember any L-shaped.
It might have been. I might be misremembering what it was, you know.
But yeah, like I have no problem. Look, if you want to hide secrets behind breakable walls, by all means do it. I just think it's an odd thing to like frustrate people with, well, like the main path is going to be hidden from you until you shoot a breakable wall that you don't know is there.
Yeah.
Like that just feels weird to me. Like, all right, this feels unnecessarily complicated. Hide all the secrets behind stuff. 100%. I always check behind the waterfall. Go for it. But you can't hide the main path behind a waterfall and then not telegraph that somehow.
I was gonna say, one thing I will say about the game is that in general, and this is like what I was trying to communicate to you a little bit when Alejandro, yes, power bombs do come back, but they're a very late game addition. Is that the game, when it basically, if you find an elevator or a tram to another area, it is the game always telling you, we want you to go this way. It's never the case where you're going to go to that place and you're immediately going to have to turn back around and leave because you can't do anything.
Yeah.
The game is willing to let you get lost, but it's actually funneling you in ways that are kind of like invisible in some instances. And that's a big one. And that's when I had to learn myself playing it, where I was like, no, I found this elevator. There's got to be something here. Like there's got to be something here. It didn't bring me here just to make me turn around. It's not that kind of game. So I will just say that, but keep going. Sorry. What do you think of the combat? Like, how was like the first boss? How's the general like movement and feel to the game for you?
I'm enjoying the combat. It's taking me a little while to get a handle on the controls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially because every time I go into that map, I put down a marker every single time. Because it's just every time I want to hit back, it's like, oh no, you want to make a point on this map, okay? And it's like, no, stop, no, I don't want to do that. They're finicky, but I'm probably like an hour and a half into it, and I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I can't imagine playing this handheld.
It was tough. Hi, Kelsey. Sorry, I don't want you to be angry at us. Kelsey's giving us shit in the chat.
But yeah, like there was a couple of times early on where I was jumping and I'm like, well, I must get a double jump because I can't reach that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, let me give it one more shot. And then I jumped and I just grabbed a hold of the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that doesn't make I don't know why this one jump worked, but now I realize like you could just jump and grab stuff. Like I didn't think I could make that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as it plays tight. You know, it feels good to run around and shoot stuff. I think the manual control is not finicky, but like it's a little bit like squirrely in the boss fights.
You're talking about like when you have to like plant yourself and move them
like
together.
Literally aiming up, down, left. There's on that first boss, you're like trying to hit this point on its tail that is constantly moving.
Yeah.
And I'm like struggling to hit it. And I was like, I'm just gonna shoot some rockets.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good first boss fight.
Yeah.
I was able to get it, I think, on my second try because I was like, I didn't understand exactly what I was supposed to do, and then once I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. But yeah, like I'm liking it. I'm definitely liking it. It's not like I wasn't going to like this game because this game falls into the like Justin Fun zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So it's a definite quality one of those. And like I said, I think that the word dread is an apt name for the game because those Emmys suck. Like, because I heard people talking about it like, oh yeah, that timing is impossible. And I was like, fuck you guys, I'm good at video games. I'll get it. And no,
because they change it. That's the other thing too. They change it up.
They change it. And the thing is like every reaction in that game where you want to parry is exactly one tick longer than, not that you think it should be. It's the tick longer than you're like, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Fuck, I still missed it. Or I still did it too early. Like they hold it out that extra half of second.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is wrong. Like this feels bad.
It's also funny too because the parry in the main game is much more generous, right? Like it when you're not facing the Emmys, like you have a much bigger window against regular enemies than you do against the Emmys. The Emmys things. I think those encounters, definitely they have their ups and downs. Like I think sometimes what they're going for works really well, and then sometimes it doesn't quite work as well. And because it's so hard in those instances, it can get frustrating because you feel like what am I supposed to? You have that feeling like the other feeling you never want to have when it's a tough encounter like this, which is like, what am I even supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to do this? You know, you have like that feeling, and that feeling sucks to have that when you're in those situations. I don't mind the like, man, that was really hard. Like, I fucked up, but if I just do this route better, even perfectly, I can do this. It's when you have that feeling like, I did it exactly how I was supposed to do it, and I still failed. That feeling can be a bad feeling. And the game does have a few times where it makes you feel that way. Bobby Jackson in the chat says, hearing Justin talk about all this reminds me of the days when games came with instructions and you could buy Nintendo Power magazine for the game maps. Yeah, absolutely. I was going through secrets at the end after I finished the game. I was giving the game to Justin the next morning or whatever. So I was like, I'm just going to like clean up some. I was watching the Red Sox game and I was like, I can't play anything that's like heavy story focus that I pay attention to. So I was like playing Dread, like getting secrets. And I had like the interactive like IGN map up that would like just like point me towards things. But there are some, man, there are some secrets they ask you to get, and they use a very specific power to get those secrets. And I was like, nope, can't do these. I can't do them. Like, this is too complicated to get this like missile tank upgrade that I'm never going to use because I've already beat the game, you know. But I'm curious to see as you get farther on how you feel about it. There's some cool stuff coming up for sure. What I like about the bosses is that they're old school in the fact that they're extreme pattern like recognition and memorization things. It's like they seem impossible, and then you're like, oh wait, if I just do this and this, that gets me around these attacks, and I do this, and then it's to the point where like extremely hard boss fights, after I did them like 3 or 4 times, I would not get hit like in the first phase of the boss fight because I had gotten all of like the patterns down so well. So interested to hear how you end up, how you come to it, and how you end up liking it by then.
I'm hoping to love it, and it's really good. Now that Kelsey's here for a second, I sent her a text.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she did see the new Stardew thing.
Oh yes.
I was like, while Kelsey's here, let's talk about it, because in case she hasn't seen it, but she saw it.
Yeah.
But we could, I guess, talk about it now anyway.
Yeah. So Concerned Ape, the developer of Stardew Valley, unveiled his new game. Eric Barone, actually, is his real name. Revealed his new game. What is it called, Justin?
Oh God, I'm the Haunted Chocolatier.
The Haunted Chocolatier. Yeah. It looks like Stardew Valley for sure. It has the same art style. It is rare. It is so interesting, right? Because Stardew Valley is a behemoth of a game. A behemoth of a game.
I mean, we talked about it. He's got it. He's beyond set up for life with this.
Yeah.
With that game.
Kelsey's getting moderated out of our chat. Oh, my Nightbot.
Easy, Nightbot. We'll have to fix that anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that guy's set up for life and then some. It's probably one of the most popular indie games ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was always interested. Like, okay, like what do you do as a follow up? Like, you could either do a couple of things. You could do Notch and just sell out and to become a terrible human being. Or you can make a almost clone of the first game, sort of. I don't want to make it sound reductive.
Yeah, we have no idea, right, how this is gonna end up.
We have no idea. But like Kelsey says, I hope to hook up with a bad boy, sad boy again by giving him pizza 10 times. Well, there is a character in the game called Jet who looks like what's his name, Seb's cousin.
So as of, I mean, this is, the number that I'm reading here is 15 million copies of Stardew Valley.
Copies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that game's coming to Game Pass. It'll be even more popular.
Yeah.
Which is great. And like, I tried Stardew. It just wasn't really for me, but I don't know, walking around, like maybe the farm aspect of it was just not my thing, but I could get down with some ghosts.
Yeah. And it looks like it's got like, you kind of like, I think it might have sort of like some like factory, like building elements, which is cool. And a very popular thing right now as well. So, I mean, I think as long as it mixes some sort of management thing with like the social narrative stuff that Stardew did, I think it'll probably get a big audience. it'll be obviously tough to make anything that'll match what Stardew is, because that thing in itself is just its own thing now. Like, people don't even know who Eric Barone is, right, or whatever, who play it, and they won't even know like that when this game comes out. When you sell 15 million copies, it's probably a good chance that like a good chunk of those people don't follow games in any sort of like real way, so they just know like they love this farming game and they're not even gonna know. So who knows how the Chocolatier would do, but it's just crazy, right? That this game, which has sold as many copies as some of the biggest AAA games you can possibly imagine, the announcement for the new game from this person just gets dropped like out of nowhere on a Thursday afternoon.
He's like, I got an announcement in an hour.
Yeah,
I'm back.
I mean, he worked on Stardew for like so long, like mostly by himself. So I'm wondering, I don't know how he's developing this one, if he's doing it himself or he has more people on the team this time, but
that sound you hear is Microsoft backing the Brinks truck up, being like, will you debut this game on Game Pass? Please,
yeah.
Here is X amount of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I bet too, like for him, like for someone like just speaking theoretically about Game Pass, I bet that game probably sold fine. Actually, it probably hasn't been on. Wait, it hasn't been on the Xbox or PlayStation before this, right? Is it just on
Stardew
Switch?
Valley?
Yeah.
No, it's on everything.
It is on everything.
It was off PlayStation for a while.
Okay.
And I think they just brought it back on.
Okay.
Recently, let me double check that. But I'm pretty sure it was on Xbox,
because I thought the like that announcement was like, oh, Stardew Valley is coming to Xbox and it's coming to Game Pass. Like, that's what I thought that announcement was, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it says that's just Stardew. You know what? Maybe it wasn't on Xbox. Stardew Valley Xbox.
And yeah, Alejandro's mentioning the open world combat in it, and it's like, it's interesting that he's the one of the things that he's doing, right, is he's bringing the combat out of like that completely sectioned off area of the mines, which was the only place in Stardew that really had combat before.
No, it was on Xbox.
It was okay, because okay.
It says February 2016. It was released for Microsoft Windows in February 2016, and later for Mac OS, Linux, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PlayStation Vita, iOS, and Android.
Okay. I didn't. Maybe that was just, oh, it's getting a Series X update and it's coming to Game Pass. Maybe that was like the thing where they announced that thing. So I doubt the Xbox sales are like probably don't match up as well with the other platforms, especially Switch. I'm guessing Switch and PC are probably your two biggest platforms there. But so maybe the Game Pass thing will make sense for them, because what does he care? But we'll see. It's cool. I mean, it's a great. It's neat to see someone this big. It's like when any of those like indie dudes who make these huge games come out and talk about their new game. It's why like
what's the last example of that?
I mean, it's like when like, let's say the guys who did Limbo revealed their new game, or when played it, or when whatever however we feel about his personal politics, Jonathan Blow going from Braid to The Witness, like the Super Meat Boy people are announcing a new game. It's like, it's gonna be like when Team Cherry finally puts out that Silk Song game, the Hollow Knight sequel or whatever.
See, that's the one. That's the one, right? That the rest of them are, I think, while critically received, not maybe commercially received.
I mean,
well
Braid was
really
a tremendous hit at the time. Yeah.
But maybe not to the level of.
Probably not. No. I mean, gaming is just bigger now, and in general, it's definitely not. But Braid was one of the things where, like, if Jonathan Blow had decided to never make another game again, he could have not worked again the rest of his life. After he made Braid. So.
That's exciting.
The people who made Super Meat Boy have had a couple games that have come out, Kelsey, since they made Super Meat Boy. None of them as well received as
Super Meat Boy Forever is not good. Don't play it.
And then there was that other game that one of the creators of Super Meat Boy put out. I can't remember now. I can't remember what it was called. But it was like Super Meat Boy-ish, but I can't remember what it was called now. I'm gonna see this. Braid sales. Braid. When we put Braid sales in, it doesn't really help you in Google. I fixed the thing.
I'm looking for it's Team Meat. Geez, games published.
Yeah, so I mean,
Team Meat had only done
yeah,
Super Meat Boy, Super Meat Boy Forever, Super Meat Boy Handheld, and the Super Meat Boy the game.
They weren't. It wasn't Team Meat anymore. It was one of the two guys from Team Meat.
I see.
Broke off and did his own game, and I can't remember what it was called at this point. But yeah, no, this is huge. I mean, this is like this is a huge announcement. So.
Oh, Binding of Isaac. It looks like one of the guys went off.
And he did. Yes, he did. He did. I'm just gonna see but there was a game that came out not that long ago, a few years ago. That I don't know if it was Edmund McMillan or Tommy. I'm just looking right now. I'm gonna look at this because it's gonna kill me if I don't remember what it is. The End Is Nigh was that game that came out in 2017. It came out. I mean, I guess you could call Super Meat Boy cute. It was like one of the hardest games you could ever possibly hope to play.
But Kelsey plays like extremely hard video games. So it's like no problem.
Yeah, but also says she's not good at video games. So
weird.
Anyway, so the other game I've been playing, Justin. Speaking of indies, a game called Inscryption came out from Devolver Digital. We saw this at the Devolver showcase at E3, and we were like, "Whoa, this looks really cool!" And it's out now, and it is stop me if you heard this about a new kind of video game, Justin. It's a roguelike deck building game.
Sounds like nothing I'd be interested in.
They don't make any games like this. It's not like every other game that gets released on Steam now is a roguelike deck builder. But it was interesting. So it's made by the person who made, oh my God.
Pony Islands.
Pony Island. I was like Pony Place. I couldn't remember what it was called. Pony Island, which was this insane game that was like, oh, the devil has taken over this, invaded your hard drive. Yeah. And this game starts out with sort of a similar vibe because you're like booting up an old computer interface to play this game. And what you're doing is you're in a cabin and you're sitting across the table from this creepy looking thing. You can only really see its eyes in the dark, and the visuals are all kind of like PS1 style looking textures and graphics. You're in this cabin, you're sitting on a physical table, and you get cards, and you're playing cards against this person. He's kind of acting as your opponent, but also as the dungeon master. He'll put a map out that you'll move across, and he'll narrate, or this thing will narrate what you're doing. And you have cards in your hands that are all look like animals. And you like most of these games, there's some sort of energy system, right, that you're dealing with in order to play the cards onto the table. You only have 4 slots to play them in. And the energy in this case is either blood or bones. So you have these cards, these squirrel cards. You have 2 decks. A deck that's just all your offensive or defensive cards or whatever. Then you have the squirrel deck. And squirrel have 1 health and they do no damage. They don't attack. You put them on the board, and then in order to play a card, a real card, like an attack card, you have to sacrifice the squirrel. And every squirrel, it gives you 1 blood, basically. And some cards take 1 blood to play, some cards take 2 blood to play, some take 3, 4, whatever. However more powerful they are, that's what they take. And every time you sacrifice a squirrel, you get the blood to play the card, but you also get a bone, because some cards take bones to play. So that's your 2 sort of energy systems that you can work with. Either you're sacrificing cards to make blood, or you're using the stockpile of bones that you get from sacrificing cards to play other cards. And just any deck building game, any card game, you're holding cards in your hand. The beginning of the round, you get to draw 1 card, either a squirrel card or an offensive card, and then you're trying to play against the cards that the opponent is putting out on the table.
Okay, so
yes,
for those listening at home, what Bobby is talking about is the game.
Yes,
but is actually not the game.
It's part of the game. It is a big part. That is the main mechanic you're doing.
That's the main mechanic.
Yes.
But
so
there is an entire other thing happening in this game,
which I was gonna get to. So there's a wrinkle to it. So once you get done with a battle, or just like something like Slay the Spire or any of these games, there are nodes on the map that are battle nodes, and there are nodes on the map that are like, oh, like get a new card there, or sacrifice a card to get some sort of reward, or infuse 2 cards together to, you know, make one card better, stuff like that. When you're not in one of those screens, when you're just on the over map, the node map, the paper map, you can get up out of your chair and walk around this cabin. And around the cabin are puzzles. It's like, it turns into like The Room. If you ever played the game The Room for iOS or whatever, where, you know, you're stuck in this room and there's like, oh, why is there a code on this? There's like a safe that has 3 dials that you have to find a code for. There's like a cabinet that has a keyhole in it. You know, there's like a weird, like, there's like a weird, like table decoration that is missing one half of it, you know, and the one half it's holding it, the other half it's holding a knife. Like, you know, there's all the stuff you can do. And as you play the card part of the game, you are receiving sort of like story bits along the way that give you clues on how to solve the puzzles when you get up and out. And that extends over runs. Like, you know, you like any items you unlock like in the world, you know, any items you unlock in the world that are not in game, like not in the card game, you keep. And all that progress keeps going between runs. You don't keep any cards in between runs, but when you die, you get to make what you call a death card. And so basically the enemy will say, I gotta make a memento to remember you by, essentially. And it goes like, take the cost of this card, one of these cards, take the attack and health of this card, take the perk off of this card, and then you put a name on it, and he takes a picture of you, and then you die. And then when you're in the game, when you go to those parts where you can get new cards, sometimes that card will pop up in the deck, and it has a chance to pop up like across, you know, runs.
It's also very creepy looking.
It's extremely creepy game. Like the thing across from you is very creepy. There's a lot of creepy sound effects going on. There's a lot of creepy ambiance in the cabin, and there's additional creepy. I don't want to spoil it because there is. My feeling is the game is not particularly long as long as you can kind of get over the hump of the difficulty of the card game. Because I played for about 3.5 hours, and I'm essentially at the point in the story that if I beat the last boss, I can finish the game. Like I literally have someone who tells me like, I have a plan to break this cycle, you know, or whatever. Like, but you have to beat the boss or whatever. Final boss.
Bobby sent me a text today talking about this game, and like the first message was like, I forget what it was, but it was basically he comes to me and I was like, he's like, all right, this is good. And then he said, the vibes are immaculate.
Yes, the vibes are immaculate.
And then told me, you will love this game. So I'm excited. I bought it the day it came out and just have not launched it yet because I'm a firm believer in one game at a time. Because I was playing 3 games 2 weeks ago and was like, I can't do this. Yeah. It's driving me crazy. One game at a time.
So yeah, I like these type of games, but it takes like a particular one to like get me engaged in it. Like I really like Slay the Spire. I love Slay the Spire. I didn't get into it as you did, but I really enjoyed it.
Speaking of one of these types of games, I have to get back into Griftlands.
Oh yeah, Griftlands is one I want to play. I think I tried Monster Train. I don't know if that one's for me. Just like aesthetically, it's just not my thing. Yeah, I think.
I don't really like Monster Train very much. Griftlands though seems so fun. Like seems like it would be the up your alley because you know you're battling cards, but in a lot of those battles you're having a battle of words and you're using the cards as words to you know have a conversation with somebody. Yeah, and that game seems so cool. It's just it's difficult for me right now because anything that I'm playing on Steam is just like, this seems like it would be perfect on my handheld that's coming out in 5 months. So maybe I'll just wait.
You know, I will say like, you know, there is a part of me that like, especially with something like this particular one, because I'm like interested in like the weird story that's happening. where I'm like, isn't there a way that I could just like see the end of the story, and if I wanted to keep doing the card game, like I could keep doing it? You know what I mean? Like I had that, like it was something like I finished Slay the Spire once. Like I beat the last, you know, whatever. I did it once with like the soldier character or whatever. And then you're supposed to do with all the characters and whatever to get the real ending. And I was like, I just can't do this again. You know, like I just didn't have the time or like the investment in it. And I want like this game. I'm sure I can do it. Like I've been getting to the third area, the third of 4 areas pretty consistently. And like I said, I've only been playing it for like 3 hours. It's just cool. It's like boss fights, and the style of the boss fights are all different and neat. And like there's a lot of different perks and like they call them sigils in the game or whatever that change what your cards can do in like really meaningful ways, and different cards can do way different things. Like just there's one that like basically is like a flight card, and it essentially allows your card to fly over any like barrier cards and hit like the boss, you know, the boss, but like the person that you're trying to kill, because it works like, you know, Hearthstone, right? Basically where you're trying to like get through the line of cards that are on the table and hit like the, you know, the player character or whatever. That character has a pool of health that you're trying to like get through. The way they document health is something. I'll tell you right now. I don't know if I want to spoil it for people, but it's gruesome.
I'm very jazzed to play this. After I play Dread, I think this is gonna be the next thing I sit down and play. I could probably bang it out over a night or two.
Yeah, that seems like definitely that kind of game.
My favorite type of game to play at this time of year. What are you saying? This is less than 10 hours? Fantastic.
I think I'm banging out so many games, Justin. Give me all those 10-hour games. I can run through them. My problem with finishing games has never been I don't like to finish games. Like I don't like to play games for more than 10 to 12 hours. So give me that number and I'm just gonna run through them. Looking at how long to beat, being like, I definitely want to play this next because it's 9 hours long.
Speaking of games that are probably 10 to 12 hours,
mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for the review of that Guardians game. That comes out next week.
Man, if Guardians is 10 to 12 hours, I might play it no matter how middling the reviews are.
Yeah, I know.
My fear is they're gonna be like, over the 35 hours it takes to beat Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, like that's the thing. I'm gonna be like, oh, I know it's gonna like put me off of it.
I want to know what that game is going to be.
I know.
And I was like really hoping that we would get reviews this week, because I'd be like, all right, well, they're confident at least that it's going to be good. And so far, nothing.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah.
They haven't even announced when, as far as I know, they haven't even announced when the embargo is going to be for that. So
no, it's but it's not until the 26th, 28th. I don't remember what day it is.
It's 26th. So what, that'd be next Friday, right?
No, 28th would be next Friday. No, 28th would be next Thursday. Maybe it's the 29th then.
No, let's take a look.
Let's take a look. What's the release date for Guardians of the Galaxy?
It comes out on... Why you're not giving me a release date? You're giving me everything else. Here we go. It arrives in 1 week. October 26th.
Okay, so next Tuesday.
Yes.
So next Tuesday. How soon will Guardians be on Game Pass, is what Gruen says. Depends how good it is.
How good it is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, who knows? I have no clue. My guess is we get reviews Monday.
Probably.
That'd be my guess. I'm trying to think. Anything else that we need to talk about? Was there anything in newsworthy that we were going to talk about, Justin, that I'm not remembering?
Did we talk about the Nintendo expansion last week? Was that?
Yes, that was last week. It was right before we started recording, because we talked en masse, I believe. No, wait. Maybe we didn't talk about it on the show last week.
I honestly don't remember.
People in the chat, did we talk?
All these recordings are blurring together.
We're doing a lot of recordings. Did we talk about? I didn't get my X fridge. I don't want to talk about it, Gruen.
He missed it.
It sold out in 10 minutes. A refrigerator, and then it was on eBay for like $3,000. I'm like, no. Why would you be exclusive to Target? Why? Anyway. When did they announce this expansion pass thing? Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack.
While you look that up, I'm going to talk about
the bots did buy them. Yes.
The month of February is extremely bad for me.
Oh, you mean money wise?
Money wise, the month of February, hang on, I need to pull up the tweet here. Where is this? There is like 6 games I want to play in February. February is a very busy month, and I wish I queued this up a second earlier, but let's see here. It goes, we send each other so many Twitter links that, here we go.
Oh, I know.
Got it. February 4th, Dying Light 2. February 18th, Horizon Forbidden West. February 22nd, Destiny 2, The Witch King. February 22nd is
The Witch Queen.
I'm really not interested in King of Fighters. February 22nd, Sifu. That game seems pretty neat.
Mhm.
February 25th, Saints Row, which I am very interested in.
Mhm.
And February 25th, Elden Ring.
Oh, that's right. The Elden Ring got delayed by like a month. That's
yes.
right.
So
That
that is 1, 2, full price games. 1, 2, 3, 4 full price games and Destiny.
Yeah.
So that's
well, Destiny can be a full price game over a full price game if you want all the content. Just
yeah, that's something that we were going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just being realized now. But I think this has been you could have known this all along if when they released the numbers, because I remember Andy and I kind of discussing something about this, but. So the Witch Queen is coming out. Destiny the Witch Queen is coming out on February 22nd. It's $40 for the expansion, just like most, Beyond Light was, was $40, whatever. They're always $40. It comes with all the expansion content, like the Witch King expansion. It comes with the first season. What it doesn't come with is the 2 dungeons that Bungie is putting in. New dungeons they're putting into the game. And if you're not aware, people aren't aware, people play Destiny, the dungeons are sort of like mini raids, essentially, that Bungie started making. And often they are some of the best and like most exciting content in the game. And they've always been free. They've always come with the expansion, like come with
the expansion,
Shadowkeep, whatever, Beyond Light, whatever. They came with those expansions, and in this case, they're not. They're either you can buy the like deluxe edition, which I think is $80, I think, which comes with the 4 season passes after the first season, and you get the 2 dungeons that are going to come out sometime during this year or whatever. The only true way to get all of the content is to buy the like $100 one or $90 one that comes also with the Bungie anniversary thing that's going to have also some in-game content in it, which I don't know exactly what all of that is, but
$80 for the digital deluxe edition.
Digital deluxe edition.
There is a 3rd dungeon available as part of Bungie's 30th anniversary bundle.
There you go. Yeah.
So you can get the anniversary edition, which will contain all 3 for $99.99.
Yes. So, and they have said that also they're going to sell them. They'll sell access to them separately. So, but they haven't said how much they're going to be. So, look, if the dungeons are like $5 a piece or something, that's not a big deal, right? I for me, like I would gladly be like, okay, yeah, I'll give an extra $5 to play this awesome piece of content, But I think the main issue that this is happening is that they are drastically changing the way in which they deliver this content, and they kind of, while they did put out all their materials, they didn't they didn't get out there and just be like, hey, look, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. They didn't message it at all. So they kind of like left it to be like, did a thing where you kind of like, you do something wrong and you hope like your dad doesn't notice or whatever. Like that's sort of like what they did. And all I understand is, in my opinion, it's not them nickel and diming people. It's a customer confusion problem. Yes, but I mean, they're responsible for that confusion. That's their fault. I mean, Justin, what do you think about this?
As somebody who bought Destiny for $60 and was just like, okay, like, now we buy expansion packs and stuff. It gets confusing when you start gatekeeping content like this. Yeah. So, just make the expansion $60.
Yeah.
That's it. I get that it might actually be cheaper for you to like buy them piecemeal, but like, don't make it confusing for people, because like, not everybody is like us and this keyed into stuff.
Yeah.
So you might just get the expansion pack. Like, oh, somebody might just buy the card at Target for somebody for Christmas or whatever, and they're gonna get the content and it won't be the full content. Just make it $60.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Whatever extra money you would have gotten from the people buying the $80 version, you at least get the other people on board that would have just bought the $40 version. Meet in the middle.
Right. Yeah. And I think especially like you and I, like the way we play Destiny is when these things come out, we buy them and we want to play all the content involved with the release of this expansion. And then we kind of we come back again next year and play more.
We play Destiny the way Bungie wants people to play Destiny.
Well, no, now they want to play them forever. They want you to play it forever now. But
up until they made this like slight switch, it was always Luke Smith would come out and say, "We want people to play Destiny until the content is over, and then to come back when there's more content." But people love Destiny because it's great. It feels great. Like, you know, those interactions you have with the dungeons and the raids and all that stuff, that's all fantastic. But in my opinion, there has never been enough legs, there never been enough meat on the bone to carry Destiny as a year-round WoW type of game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if them being, you know, I need to see how this is going to go, because is this their first full release since?
No, Beyond Light was them full.
Was Beyond Light like midway through its production?
No, because by the time Shadowkeep came out, they were already the divorce was already like
time
going.
Has no meaning to me anymore.
Yeah.
I used to never think I would forget these things, and now I forget them all the time.
Yeah,
but like, it just feels bad, man. Like the $100 version of this game comes with like 3 unique skins, right? And those skins are cool. And I have a friend who was just like, oh, like, you know, I guess I'm buying the $100 version of Destiny because I want this skin. And it's just wild to me. It's like, just make it $60. Meet in the middle, and you'll get more people paying money for that $60 version from the $40. You'll lose some money elsewhere, and just make it easy.
Yeah. You know, I think too, like, you know, again, I haven't even like, neither of us have attempted to play Destiny in a year-round fashion, right? In years, right? So
years.
I know that in the last couple of years they've gotten way better. The seasons and stuff have been metering out story content like constantly, and it's like an ongoing living story. I know some people have really, really enjoyed that. So I got to speak just from my perspective of not even knowing what's going on in those moments and just playing it, you know, when I play it. And they just needed to be like, look, because I don't think these dungeons are coming out day and date with Witch Queen. I think they're supposed to come like throughout the year. They're going to drop them like throughout the year or whatever. So I might never even be loaded up Destiny at a time when this thing drops, right? So it might not even matter to me that they're separate. But they should have just, you know, they could have just been like, look, no dungeons with Witch Queen. Like, there's no dungeon with Witch Queen. We're working on them. We're gonna try to put them out later, and they'll either be part of a season pass or you can pay extra, you know, for them when they come out. But by doing like the Witch Queen Digital Deluxe Edition, it makes people buying the Witch Queen feeling like, I'm not getting all the content for this thing that I want to play, you know, because I don't want to buy the 4 other season passes. Like, I'm never gonna play them. I will play through that first season pass. I will play the crap out of the game for that amount of time, and then I won't play it again until the next year. So just as that person, I just want a way to be able to play the stuff. Just guarantee me that for the time I'm playing Witch Queen, you know, through the main story, through that first season, that I'm going to be able to do everything that's in the game with my friends who have paid the $80 or $90 version of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's all I want to know. Like, and it's so confusing to somebody who plays the game like I do, even somebody who's keyed into games, like to feel reassured that if I'm hopping in the game with Alejandro and he wants to go do X thing, that I can do X thing without having to go, okay, let me go to the store. Okay, it's an extra $10. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, fine, I'll just do it. I'll get it. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that like I just know before I start playing what the case is. So
I agree.
It's also weird that they do seasons, but there's going to be content that's released during the season, like a dungeon, that isn't included in the season pass. It's It's weird. It's like a weird decision for the game. I feel like every time Destiny gets to a place where people are like, yeah, Destiny, they're like, oh, okay, everyone's happy. Time to pull out some weird shit. That's going to make a bunch of people go, what the fuck are you doing? I feel like that is the tale of Destiny, you know?
It seems like it. And I miss when things were nice and easy with Destiny.
This game wasn't as good, but let me tell you, it was easier to understand what was going on.
Easy to understand what was going on and how I was getting my content. Back in my day, Destiny was easy.
I just sat outside that cave and shot for as long as I could.
And I played the raid, and when the raid was over, I said, I'll see you next time. And then when the next time came, I played that raid and said, see you next time. And now I'm walking around collecting Christmas presents. Nobody wants to do this shit.
I'm 100% not spending $100 on Destiny, Alejandro. That's not happening. No, that's
like that costume.
It's not happening. I'm not spending $100. I will spend the $40, and then I will buy, if the dungeons come out in a reasonable amount of time for when we start playing the game, I will buy whatever dungeon comes out, because those are super fun. You know, I like them a lot.
I'll just wait. Look, February's tough for me. I'll just wait until like April, and then we'll play it then, and we'll get it all at one time.
Justin, you know that's not going to happen. Mark,
who are we playing with?
Mark and Andy. Andy will play it. Andy will play Destiny.
Yeah, I know Andy will play Destiny. Andy has no problem waiting. See, I really want to play Vault of Glass, so
yes.
Alejandro's right.
We have a bunch. You actually have a bunch of friends who come back and play Destiny.
I know, it's so strange.
It's the one game.
They all hate it when they're doing it too. Like,
oh, I know. You can tell from our voice chats that they hate it.
It's like an abusive relationship. They just keep coming back to it. It's like, guys, it's all right. You can let go.
I would love to beat a raid in Destiny 2. That would be great. That would be fun. Actually beat a raid.
To the end on like so many different raids and just never got around to beating one.
For you it's been 3 in Destiny 2 that you've gotten to like the last encounter and not finished. For me it was 2. It was that one, that like mini raid one or whatever that we did that started in like the city or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was this current one.
I think that's the problem with trying to like just jump in and like get a raid done. It's like you do need specific, like you need to be playing Destiny for a while to have like the right type of weapons and be like, yeah, this weapon, this is the one that I need. I'll just infuse this, make it my most powerful thing, and then we'll win.
I was saying that last raid, most of us had the weapons we needed. It was just, a couple people who I'm not going to say their names who refused to go get those weapons. We could have beat that boss.
I was one of them.
No, you were fine. You had one of the guns that you needed to have. There was other people. Anyway. So yeah, I think that's good. Is there anything else we need to talk about games, about these video games, Justin?
I don't think so.
We got Guardians coming out next Tuesday. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll have thoughts on that on next Thursday.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Hopefully it's good. That's one of the ones
really
that Justin and I are gonna buy and share.
Yeah, that'll be my good. As long as Guardians is good, I'm buying Guardians, and I will share it with Bobby.
Yeah. So maybe Justin will have thoughts. Unless it gets like amazing reviews, then I'm like, I'm gonna have to buy it as well, so we can talk about it. If
Guardians gets amazing reviews, I'll be jazzed.
Yeah, me too. Totally, me too. I like the team. Like it's the DSX team, who's doing it. So hopefully it's good. All right. I think that's gonna do it for the show this week, though. Please, we're doing the YouTube thing now, so hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell so you know when we're going live. Leave us comments. Leaving comments, leaving likes is hugely important. If you are able to, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. The only one I know about that actually takes reviews is iTunes or Apple Podcasts, but if you can hop on about Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating, leave us a review, that would be amazing. It really, really helps more than you can even imagine. Like that, it's huge for helping the show grow. So just liking and all that kind of stuff is great, and sharing the show if you feel like you love it.
Liking the YouTube videos is huge because there is a different correlation between people liking the videos and all of a sudden the views that we're getting. So please,
absolutely,
like them.
Like those videos. Justin and I have been working on more videos for the YouTube channel in the backgrounds. So there'll be more stuff than just the podcast at some point on this channel. We're spending nights recording things.
I have lost track of. Yeah,
I know
what recording is what.
I don't know. Somebody would just be like, "What are we doing tonight?" I'm like, I don't know. Just I don't know. Throw a dart at one of the names we have listed. Yeah. So, subscribe and get reminders for all of that stuff, because that'll be a lot of fun, and I think some of them are gonna be really, really cool. You go to misadventure.land to find the YouTube channel. Once we're able to get our own like short, name, we can do that, but we need 100 subscribers to get there, and we haven't gotten there yet. So, yes, Alejandro, rip those Star Wars podcasts. You can blame the person who's not here between the three of us for that one. If you can guess.
They probably come back. They'll come back at some point.
Hopefully. We never got to do Revenge of the Sith.
I know. I watched all the Star Wars movies, and then we stopped doing the podcast.
I watched it too. We were supposed to do it 3 times, and then it was like, no, sorry, can't do it. Mark is sus. It's true. So misadventure.land, misadventure LND on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow us there. I'm Bobby Shortle on Twitter. Justin
says, hey, underscores in the middle.
That was a way to say that.
I'm gonna get rid of the underscores.
I was wondering why the underscores were there in the first place. If you didn't need them.
That was what my Twitch thing was.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
And that we hate Twitch.
We do hate Twitch. Get out of here, Twitch. Fuck you.
I can get rid of those.
I canceled all my Twitch subs, by the way. I canceled all of them. And I just said, they ask you why? Well, why'd you cancel? I said, I don't want to give Twitch half of this money. It's what I wrote in the why. I canceled them.
Oh.
What?
I just got a message from somebody.
Oh.
I like the prequels, just saying, and I'm also Italian, and I can bring Mark Sass.
Oh, Kelsey's looking for a spot. Maybe we'll bring it back with Kelsey. It'd be nice to have somebody on the show who actually liked the prequels. That would be a change of pace.
You know what, Kelsey? You have your people get in touch with our people.
Yeah. We'll talk. We'll set a meeting at some point. All right. So that's gonna do it for this week's show. Until next time, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you to everybody who's listening and watching. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.